for the second. India have won the Test match.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the 81 All Out podcast. I'm Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidvi on Twitter. And today I'm joined by two guests to look ahead to the Bangladesh Test series against India. Bangladesh are in India now. They're playing the T20s and they're set to play two tests in India this month. So it's great to welcome Shakib Subhan, the reporter from the Daily Star newspaper in Dhaka. Hi, Shakib. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hello, Sid. It's
Yes,
great to
hello.
be here. Yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Always nice to have new guests on the show. And this is the first time Shakib is joining us. So we're very thrilled. And we also have 81 All Out regular, Ashoka, who is at AB Van on Twitter. Hi, Ashoka.
Hey man, good to be on the show after a while.
Yes, so thank you. And it's great to have you here as well. So let's start off by talking a bit about events leading up to this series. Quite an extraordinary set of circumstances in Bangladesh. You had a week in which you had almost everything that could happen, and then everything that could go wrong went wrong, so to speak.
Pretty much everything, yes.
Yeah, Shakib, tell us a bit about it. I mean, I think all our listeners will know the basics of what happened, the players' strike, which Shakib Al Hasan led, and then the sentence that he got, the 1 year ban and the 1 year suspended for not reporting a match-fixing approach. But tell us a bit about the hectic nature of that week and those few days, and the moods must have been swinging, fluctuating quite wildly, right?
Quite widely. I think it was basically the first such player action that happened on October 21st. The players just got together and put forward a list of demands. It was first an 11-point demand, and they said that unless these are met by the Bangladesh Cricket Board, we are not going to. We're boycotting cricketing activities, and this was made to the media. It wasn't made to the Bangladesh Cricket Board. It was just announced in a press conference. And Shakib did play a leading role, but most of the demands were to do with the pay structure and benefits, daily allowances in domestic cricket, especially in first class cricket. So yeah, that is what happened, and then. It lasted 3 days, the strike, and the camp for the India tour, the national camp, was supposed to start on October 25. And we were all, us reporters, media people, were all very confused because Captain Shakib was the national captain, and he didn't show up for the camp for the first 2 days, and then news emerged that he had signed a contract with a telecom company in Bangladesh, and which is actually against the terms of his contract with the BCB. Then the BCB president issued him a notice, and sort of public opinion went swinging from this way to that with Shakib. And then, as you all know, we were hearing that something big is in the offing, and that big thing was that he actually was banned by the ICC for 2 years, and this was announced on the eve of the team's departure for India. So he was banned for 2 years, and for as you know, and I'm sure everyone knows now, not reporting corrupt approaches.
So the cynical view here, and you may totally disagree with me, is that Shakib basically Shakib knew what was coming, and he basically decided that this player strike would probably soften the blow. Is there any merit in that argument?
That has been a theory. That has been a theory that made the rounds almost immediately, and I'm not sure that is how it happened, but there are just two ways to look at it. So Shakib being selfless and just doing what he can for the players before the ban, And the other way is, as you said, um, he was trying to soften the blow. But the I'm not of the camp that Shakib did all of this selflessly. It's probably somewhere in between. Maybe this was in the works. The timing is always a little fishy for me. Even I don't know. I can't claim to know exactly what was happening behind the scenes. But there's an interesting thing here and this is typically Bangladeshi thing. I think there was after Shakib got banned, there was an interview with Muhammad Islam at Cricket Info did an interview with Muhammad Ashraful, who was banned in 2013 for fixing matches by the ICC. And there was a very interesting thing Ashraful said. He said that before I was banned, um, my popularity was 50-50. About half the people loved me and half the people hated me. After my ban, I think around 95% of the people love me. So I'm not sure how much water the softening the blow theory holds. Maybe that did factor into it, but we as a nation are quite interesting in the fact that once someone confesses and shows some level of contrition in public, opinion invariably turns towards him, especially if it's a cricketer and someone as famous and beloved as Shakib. So
my big source of cricket information / gossip is this, of course, the legendary cricket forum called Bangla Cricket. And I mean, I just love that forum for various reasons. I don't know how much of it to believe and how much of it to just let aside, but it's entertaining. And but one of the sentiments on that forum, and you can tell me if this is a sentiment across the cricket fans in that there, was that hey, what wrong did Shakib do? I mean, it's not like he sold his country. It's not like he took money. He just didn't report a thing. What's the big deal? I mean, we all know it is a big deal because
it is a big deal, and that's one of the things. The social media echo chamber, and also another factor that I should have mentioned is that sentiment by default usually goes towards the player against the board, and our BCB president Nazmul Hasan has a reputation for interfering in everything, talking too much. He does not have. He's not well loved, especially if it comes in an adversarial equation with a player. So sentiment was always going to be with Shakib, and also, yeah. I've read Facebook posts and by people who I would otherwise consider knowledgeable or of the right mind, that they were celebrating Shakib for not taking the money. And that's the picture I want to give you about how public sentiment goes in Bangladesh. They were celebrating him not taking the money, and also this is a funny thing. There's actually a campaign, not a campaign, but I've heard many different people saying that I've sent Virat Kohli a Facebook message and asking him for information. And now if he doesn't report it to the ICC, he should be banned.
I think these are all Bangla cricket forum members.
Probably, whatever.
Which brings me to a point that why? I mean, this is like perhaps the greatest cricketer that Bangladesh has produced. He has all the adulation. He just had one of the best World Cups that any all-rounder has ever had in the history of cricket World Cups.
Yep.
And
the greatest.
Yeah, his stature in Bangladesh would have been so high. And of course, these approaches, I think, came before the World Cup, right? So, okay,
Yeah,
that's
before
probably a wrong
2018.
thing. But even then, I mean, here's a man who has actually reported on Ashraful when he was involved in some of these activities. But then, so what was your first reaction on hearing Shakib and his connection to all this? And What did you make of it? Is it puzzlement or is it shock? Or how does one describe this?
It was pretty much shock because I mean this as just someone who works in news, it's basically the biggest news story in Bangladesh, I think, ever in Bangladesh cricket. I mean, Ashraful was big, but by then, Ashraful was never what Shakib is to the Bangladesh team. Um, Shakib is the captain. He basically all the Bangladesh didn't do well in the World Cup. Everyone was talking about Shakib, and Bangladeshis and non-Bangladeshis alike. So yeah, this was a big story, but also Shakib is kind of an inscrutable person. I think people would have fallen off their chairs if this was if Mashrafi if this was Mashrafi instead of Shakib, because Mashrafi has the reputation of being a patriot and a straight arrow basically. But Shakib is pretty inscrutable, even in press conferences or when he's talking to the media or even on the cricket field. You don't know what he's thinking. So it was shock because Shakib is also the richest cricketer in Bangladesh, and you know that how much he has to lose. For not only a year of cricket, but also franchise connections and everything. So, in that sense, it was a big shock.
What I wanted to ask was like, is there any possibility that this was just negligence or ignorance? Like, I'm not saying that he's not aware of the rules, that I'm not making that argument, but could there be a possibility, given how Shakib is in Bangladesh cricket, he would have seen the approaches from like bookies and match fixers as something that he doesn't have to bother or waste his time with. Even he knows that he's not going to take the offer, and he's like, yeah, this is not something that I'm going to waste my time with. um, uh, would that be some kind of a like a basic negligence on due diligence or something of that sort?
That has been an argument for Shakib that there's a there's a idea that he's arrogant. He's a bit arrogant, and he won't bother with this. But but he has reported an approach before. You may know, in 2008, before the Ireland home series against Ireland.
Yes, yes.
So he knows, and I cannot, as I said before, having read that ICC reason decision document and the interaction he's had, I cannot. It's very unfortunate, but think that he's.
Yeah, but I think the general, I mean, even Michael Atherton and, a couple of people, a couple of pieces I read on Cricinfo, I think everyone is of the opinion that Shakib is lucky to get off with this because, it is, as we know, I mean, irrespective of what people say, this is a very serious matter. And, if cricketers of the stature of Shakib don't report these approaches, then cricket really doesn't have a chance of combating this issue because officials and ACU can only do so much. They can't track every single WhatsApp exchange between cricketers and whoever they are interacting with. So
Exactly, and this episode has just kind of told us once more how hard the job for ACU is, because you cannot track everyone. You're absolutely dependent on cricketers flagging certain individuals.
Do you know? I mean, have you heard in the Bangladeshi setup? See, the thing right now is if Shakib is susceptible to such approaches, and him being the apex of Bangladesh cricket. Now there are a lot of young players who are coming up the ranks. Do you know that if there is any kind of a program that BCB has put in place in terms of educating the players as to how to approach these situations, or is there a prevalent knowledge that is there as to do's and don'ts in this kind of situation?
I cannot tell you for sure, but I do know that there is a anti-corruption unit here as well for domestic matches, and it's headed by an army brigadier, I think. Um, So I think there is education here about that. But I can't tell you for a fact, actually. And by the way, fixing is a real epidemic here in the lower tiers of second division, third division cricket. Um, that's a real problem. I don't know if you've heard this story. There was a bowler, I think, who conceded, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of runs in an over just bowling no balls. That was in protest of an umpire's decision, because the bowler supposedly knew that the umpire was involved in a fix. So,
wasn't this last year or the year before that?
I think it was last year. Probably
Yeah,
last year.
yeah, I kind of, and I think the bowler got banned or something, right?
He got banned.
Yeah. So I mean, the questions, because see, fixing naturally doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when, see, there are two ways of, one is educating the players and making sure that they are on the straight. The other links back to the problems that Bangladesh has been having, that the players are not getting the right kind of money for their profession, right? And that was what
Yes.
the strike was all about.
Exactly.
So since this is related to the remunerations that Bangladeshi players are getting for playing matches, the first class and the Bangladesh Premier League, the question then is like, what happened to that strike? What was the end result of? Because the way the report read was, players went in with and sat with the board members and the board and Nazmul Hussain, right? Like he's the head of
Yeah, Nazmul Hasan. Yes.
Hassan. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
So he was the head of BCB, and he directly took a very offensive tone. He was pointing to Mehidy Hasan and saying
Yes.
that, is this how you repay me, and stuff like that. And the report further said that the players were like shocked. They didn't go in with that kind of an expectation of, or that kind of a response, and the whole meeting kind of went downhill from there, with the board kind of promising them, okay, your concerns are being noted and we'll take care of it, without any specifics that came out. So
Yes.
am I saying this right? And because I'm just remembering this of something that I read in the cricket magazines.
No, you're right. The thing that emerged was Mehdi Hassan. Basically, the BCB president Nazmul Hasan made an example of Mehdi, because he can't shout at Shakib. So he just basically, in so many words, told him that you have the gall to not pick up my calls, and that is actually at the heart of the problem here. The first demand, it was not about only about money. The first demand is kind of telling, is it was about respect. Players demanded more respect, and that is a problem, I think, in Bangladesh cricket. If you read about the press conference the BCB president held the day after the strike was announced, he he went off on a rant about how he had done personal favors for players. Part of the board's purview is to look after players. So it isn't that he has done all those things. He said that when Mushfiqur's father was in trouble or something, he just went off on a rant about all of this, and it's the board's part of the board's function is to look after players and help them out. So I think that was the respect he was talking about. And one of the things that is a little unfortunate, I think, with Shakib's ban, the focus has shifted away from the player strike and the demands that the BCB said they will accept. They have implemented one of those demands till now. They have increased this match fees in first class cricket. Not by the amount the players wanted, but they've increased it substantially, you can say. So yes, so that has gone away. And as to the meeting, I don't know if it all went downhill from there, but they basically said that we're accepting all the demands except two. Um, one was that the Bangladesh Premier League, they said that the Bangladesh Premier League will return to a franchise-based tournament from the next year anyway. I don't remember exactly which two they haven't, but that was the outcome of the meeting. But it remains to be seen how many of the demands they actually do eventually accept.
That's the unfortunate bit. I mean, in all this, basically the aspect that was going to help the players has now taken a back seat. Hopefully, it comes back into the spotlight at some point, and maybe there can be some other players who take the lead. But that'll probably have to wait a bit. So let's move on to the cricket itself. Bangladesh are currently in India. We're recording after two T20s have been played, and it's a 1-1 as of now. There's still a third T20 to go, and there's also the two tests, and we'll primarily focus on the two tests. So the team-wise, I mean, there's no Shakib. There's also no Tamim Iqbal, who stayed back because I think his wife was expected to.
Pregnant, yes.
Yeah, his wife is pregnant, and they're expecting a baby soon. So tell us a bit about the squad and the new captain, Mominul. He's of course been one of their most consistent batsmen recently, but tell us also about what we could expect from him in terms of his captaincy. Has he captained in the first class and lower levels before? How is he as a leader? How do you think he'll go as a leader?
That is a bit of an unknown because he has captained Chattogram division in first class cricket, and he has done well. But his name is not the first that comes to mind when you think of a leader or someone who controls the dressing room. So my guess is actually as good as yours. I don't know how he will do in the tests, and it is obviously a very, very difficult assignment, captaining against India in India.
I mean, the moment Shakib went out, you would have thought Mahmudullah becomes the captain. This seems a little bit of a field, I mean, left field kind of choice. Could work out well. But from a purely batting perspective, I think, if you look at that batting order, Mominul would probably have to lead the way there too, right? I mean, yes. I guess Mominul and Mahmudullah, but Mominul has been pretty good along with Tamim in the last couple of years.
Yes, he has. And especially at home. He has all his. I think he's got 8 test hundreds, and all of them have come at home. So he has been good. And Mushfiqur is the other guy. Mushfiqur, I think Mushfiqur is probably the Bangladesh's best batsman in India right now. So if you remember, he scored a century against India in Bangladesh's maiden test in India. I think it was in 2017. So
yeah, they came in 2017. Yeah.
Yes, and he's got a fantastic record against India. So Mushfiqur, Mominul, and Mahmudullah will have to be the people who lead the way with the bat.
I actually, this may be a case of me overthinking it, but I thought Mominul Haque as a captain is an interesting choice because he's like if you say Muhammadullah and Mushfiqur, they are in their 30s, and I think there is just one more cycle of 3 or 4 years of cricket left in them. But Mominul Haque he's at a place where you can trust him with captaincy, right? He's like 28 and he has been in the circuit for long enough. He's very good in Bangladesh and subcontinental conditions, and though he has not been that good while touring, but he's their best bet in batting going forward.
Yes, I mean, if you want to think of someone who's going to be still playing for after 5 or 6 years in the test team, Mominul would be the person. And why it is puzzling actually is because we are not used to the Bangladesh Cricket Board making long-term decisions. So
that's why I said I may be overthinking it, but that is exactly why I said that.
Yes. He other than Mushfiqur and Riyadh, Mahmudullah, Mominul would be the choice, and we just have to see, I guess.
Yeah. So when Bangladesh last came to India for a test, which was their first test ever in India, that was 2017. and they played it in Hyderabad, and that was a pretty heavy defeat.
Yes.
But you know, as you mentioned, in the in the first innings, actually, they didn't really. They did give a pretty good performance. I mean,
Yes, they
Mushfiqur got 100, Shakib got 82, and I think Mehidy got some runs as well.
Yes.
Uh,
50.
yeah, and then the second innings, of course. I mean, those were the days in which Ashwin and Jadeja would basically take over in the second innings and finish you off. But now they face a new dimension of the attack, because India against South Africa now have the pace bowling even at home has become so potent that
It's amazing actually how good
Shami,
they are.
Mohammad Shami and Umesh basically left South Africa clueless. And you would think South Africa, having grown up with playing fast bowling, would be able to handle them, but they had no clue the lengths and the lines that these guys were bowling. So Bangladesh have their hands full for the tests, especially the first test in Indore, which is a normal day test. I mean, we can come to the second test later, which has a lot of unknowns with the day-night quantity. But how do you think Bangladesh? Do you think the Bangladeshi batsmen are going to be would have done anything specifically to face these fast bowlers, or would they just would it just be a matter of trusting themselves?
I think with all the tumult before the series started, I don't think, I doubt how much they have actually prepared specifically. They have been the test squad which reached India, I think today, today they've reached India, the test players. They have been practicing with the ping ball, although it's a ping kookaburra, not an SG. So they've been practicing, and truthfully, I see very little chance of Bangladesh actually putting up much in the way of a fight in the two tests. I mean, India is probably the best attack in the world right now, the most varied, and you've got swing and pace in Shami, hit the deck bowler in Ishant Sharma. And by the way, I don't know, is Bumrah going to be back? He's not. Right?
No, he's not.
So that may lengthen the matches a bit. But yes, it's going to be very difficult, and I don't think they've been doing any special practice. They've just been practicing with the ping ball for the second test.
Yeah, actually, 2 months ago, had you had I thought about it, and with comparing South Africa and India and Bangladesh and India, and of course, I would have assumed Tamim and Shakib would play. I would have given Bangladesh a slightly better chance in India, because I would have assumed that they would have a better chance to combat the spinners than South Africa. But then the South Africa series happened, and then you have this dimension of Indian fast bowling coming in, and now I'm not sure if Bangladesh really stand a chance in that compared to South Africa. I think it could very well go the same way, with the top order really struggling, especially if Shami and Umesh get into the rhythm that they did and get the kind of swing that they were getting. It's going to be, I mean, Bangladesh would have hardly faced that kind of bowling at home. And let's go back to that test, in fact, against Afghanistan, which they lost, which was quite a shocking loss, I thought, because Bangladesh are usually good at home.
Yes.
They didn't play a single pace bowler. They played an all-spin attack and still lost.
That is I think, one of the most disheartening things about Bangladesh cricket. I mean, I know you have spinning pitches, but if you're going to keep ignoring the pacers, first of all, it is a double blow, because you are actually making sure that pace bowling doesn't develop in the country, and that also means your batsmen don't get practice against high quality pace bowling. So that is what happened. And Afghanistan, the loss against Afghanistan was quite embarrassing, but it wasn't absolutely shocking, because Bangladesh also don't play leg spin very well. And as you've seen with Chahal in the two T20s. So
yeah, there was a piece that Mohammad Isam again wrote for Cricinfo, which I'll link, where he said that it's very hard to learn how to play leg spin when you don't have anyone to face in your local conditions.
that is pretty much it. Like Afghanistan, basically, let's just give them credit. Rashid Khan was fantastic, and also they did well to put up decent totals. But most of us were thinking that yes, we do have Bangladesh does have this weakness against leg spin, but we can just count on Afghanistan not batting well enough against Bangladesh spinners. Afghanistan held their own, scored runs, and Bangladesh just couldn't. And this is also and the other thing I wanted to talk about was that there's a myth about Bangladesh being very good at home in tests, but if you look at the record, yes, we have won tests, but there's only one series we have won since 2016 when we started winning matches at home. We beat England in Dhaka, but the series was drawn 1-1. Australia, same thing the next year, 1-1. And we actually lost a test at home against Zimbabwe last year. So it's not that Bangladesh are dominant at home, but they can win test matches. But I just don't think that Bangladesh can be a dominant side in tests.
Okay, so the first test is in Indore, and I think we are in agreement on how the test is likely to go. We could probably expect if Bangladesh, well, in the South Africa series, India won all the tosses. So and all the tests pretty much followed a certain pattern, with India putting up a big score and then the bowlers taking over. So if Bangladesh manage to, if they win the toss, then it would be interesting. But let's come to the second test, which is the more interesting of the two tests, at least before the series. Who knows how it will go? But it's the first day-night test that's going to be played in India, and neither team really has too much experience in these conditions before. So I would actually think, as much as it is a disadvantage for Bangladesh, it's also a minor advantage, because India too doesn't really know what to expect. The pink SG ball is new. The day-night conditions are totally new. Your body clocks have to change. So what is the? I mean, is there anything that you are expecting from this, or one has to just wait and see? I mean, I did see a report where apparently Mohammad Shami has played a day-night game, a local game, a club game, and he was absolutely unplayable on that day. But Mohammad Shami can be unplayable even in the day, so I don't see any big thing there. But any expectation for that? And what do you see? How do you think the Bangladesh team will come through there?
I think it's going to be even more of a blowout than the day test, because how many in domestic cricket, how many day-night matches has there been in India?
Not that many, actually.
Okay.
The numbers are very few. But I think there have been none in Bangladesh, right? Or maybe one.
There's been one in 2013. And also, I think one of the hardest things in cricket is the swinging ball at pace. And Shami and Umesh Yadav are going to do that under lights, and that is going to be very difficult for Bangladesh. For the first test, I have more hope of Bangladesh dealing with India's bowling than the bowlers facing up against India's batsmen, because that is why it's almost a certainty that Bangladesh will not do well. is that I cannot see them getting 20 wickets or 10 wickets in an innings against India. The bowling is just not there. So even in the day-night test, yes, maybe there might be some assistance for under the lights for the seamers. I think India will deal with it much better than Bangladesh will deal with India's bowling.
I mean, since this is in Kolkata, and Kolkata of late has been a pacer-friendly wicket, Um, I remember I think it was the last test played there, India Sri Lanka, where Bhuvneshwar kind of nearly won the test together. If I
Yeah,
remember
that
correctly.
was a test in which we must mention that India specifically asked for a seamer-friendly track because they were going on these away tours and they wanted to prepare for it. And they got a big scare when Suranga Lakmal took took off the top order in the first morning. But India did recover and nearly came close to pulling off that test thanks to Bhuvaneshwar Kumar.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it was just a rain that prevented the win. So I think the second test is kind of uh, a lottery because if it is a pacer friendly wicket and if it is swinging, that kind of then uh, it is just the time. I mean, which bowling attack gets 20 wickets quickly, right? That would be the thing. And once the conditions are widely in your favor, mm, then Mustafizur, Alamin Hussain, Abu Jaid, for instance, might find it easier to pick wickets and put pressure on Indians. It all depends on who gets to bat under light more, right? That it all comes down to that. So
Yes,
that part you can't engineer that part even with
no.
toss or something. So it'll be interesting. I am kind of looking forward to the second test. The first test, I am more or less certain that uh, India would kind of win it. Uh, the second test is where I'm looking forward, saying that Bangladesh might have a chance because conditions are altered so that India doesn't take all the advantage. There is some kind of an unknown as well.
Yes, I mean both teams are going into the unknown, so it depends. As you said, who does the more batting under lights? That may factor into it. But yeah,
And secondly, I think when you compare the South Africa series where Indian batsmen, especially Rohit Sharma, kind of went after Dane Pete, Muthuswamy, and Keshav Maharaj, if they kind of apply the same strategy against Mehidy and Taizul, uh, they might. I mean, Bangladesh might stand a chance of picking a wicket or two because I personally think head to head, Taijul and Mehidy are better bowlers than say Dane Pete and Muthuswamy, especially Taijul because he's now the leader of this attack, right?
he is, and he doesn't get enough credit actually. He's one of the
Yeah,
most
he had a
effective bowlers.
fantastic 2017 or 18, if I remember right. He was like the leading wicket taker for a while
Yes, and he's the
in Test.
fastest to 100 wickets for Bangladesh. So yeah, he just kind of slips under the radar, but he's always been picking up wickets, 2 or 3 wickets in an innings when he
Yeah,
doesn't take up 5 first.
yeah. So that is where I think Bangladesh might have an opening against because if India will try to dominate the spinners so that you can. I mean, Bangladesh goes on to bowl their pacers more, which is not their strength, and so that I think that presents an opportunity for Bangladesh themselves to pick some wickets.
Yeah,
And
and the challenge, of course, is that uh, how well Taizul and Mehdi do through the day and through the test. I mean, that is one thing that the South Africans really struggled with. I mean, the Maharaj would have a pretty okay first spell, but then the more he bowled, and he had to bowl a lot because he ended up bowling so many overs. But as you go along and bowl in the third session of play, bowling with India 350 plus with not many wickets down, that is where these guys will really be tested. So I think it'll be a big challenge, but it'll also be good if they can come through with it, and I think they'll learn a lot and they'll grow as spinners if they stick to the plan in India.
yes, and for the second test, I agree that maybe India may have a scare, but I cannot see a draw or a win for Bangladesh there because I'm sure India will recover and their greater quality will come through at some point. So I keep going back to this. Bangladesh just does not have consistent wicket-taking ability in Test matches, unless it's against an England side in Dhaka where the ball is turning square. It's very difficult for Bangladesh.
But cricket aside, I mean, I always imagined that when Bangladesh play a test in India, it would be in Calcutta. It wasn't so. It was in Hyderabad. But cricket aside, do you think I did read some reports that there were a few planning to cross over and come for the test. Do you think it will be sort of an occasion for people to come and watch and maybe take in the sounds of Calcutta?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure thousands will make the trip because one thing is for sure, people are crazy about cricket, and you've already seen there a few supporters. The guy who puts on face paint, and disguises himself as a tiger in the T20s.
Yeah, he was at the World Cup also, right?
He's got an amazingly loud voice. He can,
Yeah.
I mean, he can drown out thousands just by screaming. He's amazing. And also, I'd just like to ask you. I mean, I'm when it comes to Test cricket, I'm a traditionalist. What do you guys think about this pink ball day-night test?
I think it's an interesting idea. I think unless we try it, we won't know. India is always the follower in terms of these things. I mean, it's countries have been playing day-night tests for a few years now, but I'm I'm glad that they're going with the attempt. Who knows what may happen, but I think it's fair. Give it a shot. I mean, I don't think one should. I'm not of the camp that believes that Test cricket is dying. I think Test cricket has been dying for a long time, and the way people consume Test cricket is very different from the way they consume other formats. So you always won't see a packed house in Test cricket. But if you want to encourage more people to come in after a work day, why not? Why not give it a chance? And if it's adds a couple of new dimensions to the play in terms of the evening swing and the pink ball. If it means that more people are going to be entertained, why not? So I'm all for trials, though I won't say that this is the only way to go or anything. I mean, but it's an interesting attempt. What do you think, Ashoka?
I think a couple of series has to be played with all day-night tests before we can reach any sort of consensus. Because right about now, it's still a novelty thing, right? Like we are trying this thing out. So the strategies have not emerged as clearly as it would have for a traditional test, where you don't know, you can't account for, as I was saying, the team batting under lights for a longer period of time, whether it has won the toss or not. Uh, gives the opposition that much of a chance to exploit their batting ability against swing bowling, and the pink ball itself is like more susceptible to swing. So all this has to be some kind of a all this has to be subjected to some kind of a rigorous test, which would be a day-night test in itself. And as you were saying, there is also a commercial aspect and an audience aspect to it, right? Like you can catch most of the game after you have left your work. You can chill in the evening and see a couple of sessions. So there is a lot of things it has uh, going for it. But sure, if we have a day night test between uh, I do not want to classify nations and teams, but for it to be really standardized, I think India has to play against Australia and England because the news cycles will pick it up and it will become a thing for most of the people to talk about it and encourage other nations to experiment with it. So some complete series of 3 tests of day nighters would be fantastic, purely from a point of view of a spectacle, and also from the way that we think about and not just us, the administrations and ICC themselves think about cricket changes.
No, I think, I mean, I don't think, first of all, for 3 tests to be day night, I mean, I think we're a long way off that. But I also think, I also like the model where Australia have pretty much designated Adelaide as their day-night test venue. And India didn't play there because they didn't agree for that. But this time, Pakistan are going to be there, and England, the Ashes test has been a day-night test. So they have basically designated a venue as their day-night test venue. And I think that also is interesting because once you play 5-6 years of day-night tests in the same venue, then you get a bit of a feel of what you can expect from that venue for a day-night test in those specific ranges. So maybe if India can designate like a venue or two, that'll also be a thing. But I really doubt if we are anywhere close to getting a full series of day-night tests. That's a leap that we can wait a few years for, I think. And it will be driven by the commercial. I mean, if the people think that there is a real commercial value to it, then I think you will see it going that way, because that's how one-dayers went. Now you hardly see a non-day-night one-dayer in India ever. Like I don't. It's been a while, and almost every one-dayer or T20 is now under lights. So I think the commercial aspect will eventually drive it if it succeeds.
Yes, I'm all for commercial. I mean, saving, with air quotes, saving Test cricket. But like I said, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, and the jury's still out on how successful, as Ashoka and you just said, on how successful day-night Test cricket will be.
Yeah, I think we'll learn about all this as we go along. This is just the first test, but coming to, we did mention this was a preview. We haven't said anything about India, but I think that only goes to show that we all are in agreement about what to expect. The South Africa series basically showed that India are all but settled with their lineups. And as we said, Bumrah is not going to be back. So the bowling attack could look the same. Who knows? Maybe for the day-night test, they could play only one spinner if the conditions dictate. Or maybe in Indore, if the pitch plays if it's a spinning pitch, then maybe they go with three spinners. All those combinations are there. But I think, Ashoka, the batting, the 11 is almost set, right? We don't really need to go through that thing again.
Yeah. So I would be surprised if they change at all. So it is literally the same squad, right? Who has come in and
I
who
think
has gone?
Kuldeep came in for Nadeem. So in Indore, if maybe they play, if they play three spinners in Indore, it'll be Kuldeep, Jadeja, and Ashwin. And in Calcutta, if they decide to go with the extra pacer, then
it'll be just Jadeja.
It'll be just Jadeja. Yeah, that's what it was in West Indies. And Shubman Gill will probably have to continue his weight because Mayank and Rohit and everyone else basically had a fantastic series, and Wriddhiman Saha continues because he was outstanding as well.
Yeah, that about is the summary of what's going to mostly happen. Other than Shastri or Kohli trying to tinker with bowling, I think nothing much is going to change from the Indian perspective.
But I don't see India having too many problems. Yeah, maybe there could be phases where Taizul and Mehidy get on top and maybe a couple of wickets go down early. But overall, predictions-wise, I'm going with comprehensive 2-0. And I'm assuming that that is consistent across the board.
Yeah, but I would really want a 1-1 series it looks very gloomy and doom as far as any side taking India today, right? So just for fun, it would be nice if it is 1-1 or even 2-0 Bangladesh. But that I think we should not get swept away by fantasies. It will be 2-0 by India.
1-1 would be excellent because that would mean a national holiday in Bangladesh probably.
And what would 2-0 mean? 2-0 Bangladesh.
It'll be a meltdown. I don't even know what will happen. I don't know.
So that would mean that all the Bangla cricket theories of BCCI colluding with RAW and CIA all those would be falsified, I think.
Oh my God, the conspiracy theories are just they warrant another podcast on its own, and it's insane. I'm with Rishabh Pant. Remember Rishabh Pant taking the ball in front of the stumps?
Yeah.
Thank God, it was a pretty clear stumping. Thank God they called for the third umpire, because someone or the other would have come up with a conspiracy theory that they didn't call for the third umpire on purpose. It's an Indian conspiracy against
So
Bangladesh.
the thing I like about conspiracy theory of Bangla cricket is that they really go for it. So there is no plausibility constraint. It's immensely entertaining to read it.
A recent favorite of mine is after Shakib was banned. Someone came up with the theory that Shakib, the moment he got the approach from Agarwal, Shakib informed the BCB president, Nazmul Hasan, and he waited till the last moment, till the players strike, and then he informed Hasan informed the ICC so that Shakib would be banned.
Oh wow, that's great. On that note, we should do another podcast on Bangla cricket conspiracy theories, but we'll probably do that on another day. But I think this was great, Shakib. Thanks for joining.
No problem. Thank you. Enjoyed it.
And Shoka, thanks again for joining us. This was a good, fun podcast, and we'll convene again for the review of the series. And Shakib, if you're free, maybe we should get you along as well.
He'll come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series.
They're going to get back for two. India at home. Lords goes wild.